The courtroom doors swing open with a huge thud and every head turns at once. For years, the Brown family tried to keep their struggles hidden behind smiles, television cameras, and carefully chosen words. But today, under the harsh lights of a real courtroom, the truth is finally moving forward. Because one sister wife has decided she's done protecting the family's secrets, and what she's about to tell could tear the entire Brown family apart forever. If you think you already know what happened between these wives, stay with me, because the deeper this case goes, the more shocking the truth becomes, and before the end, I want to hear what you think really happened. The air inside the courtroom feels thick, almost heavy, like something big is about to break. Reporters talk in the back rows, pens ready, cameras waiting outside the doors for the moment someone storms out. The wooden benches creak softly as people lean forward, trying to get a better view of the family that once built their identity on togetherness. Kody Brown sits at the defense table, shoulders tight, mouth clenched. His hands rest on the table, but his fingers keep tapping, a quiet, nervous beat that only someone watching closely would notice. He stares straight ahead, avoiding the eyes of the women sitting across the room. Christine Brown sits beside her attorney, stands straight, chin slightly raised. There is a calmness about her that almost feels unnatural given the circumstances. But inside her eyes is something different, years of frustration finally ready to speak. Behind her, Janelle watches quietly. She sits with her arms folded, face serious but controlled. Meri sits next to her, clearly uneasy, shifting slightly as if unsure where she fits anymore. And then there is Robyn. Robyn Brown sits beside Kody, her eyes already red as if she's been crying long before the trial even started. Her hands twist together in her lap, and every few seconds she looks toward Christine with a mixture of fear and confusion. The judge enters. Everyone stands. The courtroom settles into silence. The clerk starts reading the case details. The words echo softly through the room: breach of financial trust, disputed property ownership, claimed manipulation of shared family assets. Each phrase hits like a small explosion. For years, the Brown family spoke about togetherness. One big family. Shared homes, shared goals, shared expenses. But today, those same promises are being examined like proof. Christine's attorney stands slowly. Your Honor, this case is about more than property. It is about trust. Christine keeps her eyes forward. For decades, my client contributed financially and emotionally to a shared family system that she believed treated every wife equally. A short pause. But we will show that behind the scenes, that equality never truly existed. A mutter spreads through the room. Kody leans toward his lawyer and says something quickly. Robyn's breathing becomes shallow. But the moment the attorney says what comes next, the entire crowd leans forward at the same time. We will show that significant financial resources were quietly redirected toward one household, while the other wives were led to believe everything was equal. The quiet that follows feels deafening. Christine slowly stands. The judge nods. You may speak. Christine takes a breath. Her voice is steady, but passion hums beneath every word. When we started this family, I believed in the idea of sister wives. Her eyes briefly moved toward Janelle and Meri. We were supposed to support each other, build something bigger than ourselves. Then she looks directly at Kody. But over time, something changed. Kody exhales quickly. Christine continues. At first, it was small things. Decisions made without conversation. Plans that suddenly changed. She looks toward Robyn. And slowly, the balance shifted. Robyn talks quietly. That's not fair. Christine hears it. Her voice softens slightly. Maybe it doesn't feel fair to hear. But it's the truth as I lived it. Kody finally speaks up. You're acting like we betrayed you. Christine's face hardens. You did. Gasps spread through the courtroom. The judge raises a hand for silence. Kody shakes his head, frustration building. You chose to leave the family. Christine responds quickly. Yes, a long break. Because I realized the family I thought we had didn't actually exist, the room grows still again. Meri lowers her eyes. Janelle moves slightly in her seat. Robyn wipes her face. Christine's attorney approaches the table and lifts a stack of papers. These records represent financial transfers between multiple family accounts over a 6-year period. He puts them on the evidence table. What they show is a pattern. Kody leans back in his chair. This is ridiculous. The attorney continues quietly. a pattern in which major purchases, property payments, and investment funds were consistently routed through accounts connected to Robyn Brown's household. Every eye in the courtroom turns toward Robyn. Her face drains of color. That can't be right. Christine looks at her carefully. I said the same thing when I first saw it. Robyn shakes her head. I never asked for anything like that. Kody suddenly talks louder. She didn't. The judge immediately intervenes. Mr. Brown, control yourself. Kody clenches his jaw but falls quiet. Christine slowly walks toward the evidence table. She picks up one paper and holds it gently, almost like something fragile. This was the moment I realized something was wrong. She looks toward the judge. This property purchase, it was funded by money that all of us contributed. Christine turns toward Kody. But only one household received it, Robyn whispers. Kody, is that true? Kody rubs his face, clearly irritated. You're all misunderstanding the situation. Christine raises an eyebrow slightly. Then help us understand, the courtroom feels tighter with every passing second. Because everyone in the room is starting to realize that this trial isn't just about money, it's about years of hidden decisions finally being dragged into the light. Janelle suddenly leans forward. Your Honor, may I see those documents? The request amazes everyone. Even Christine looks slightly surprised. The judge nods. Very well. The folder is given to Janelle. She flips through the pages slowly. At first her face is neutral. Then it changes. Her eyebrows knit together. Her lips press into a thin line. Kody notices quickly. Janelle, but she doesn't reply. She keeps reading. Meri watches nervously beside her. What do they say? Janelle doesn't answer right away. Instead, she turns another page. And another. Then she finally looks up. Her voice is quiet, but filled with something new. Concern. These transfers are real. Kody exhales loudly. They're being taken out of context. Christine tilts her head slightly. How? Kody struggles for words. This family had complicated finances. Christine almost laughs, but there's no fun in it. Complicated or secret? Robyn covers her mouth with one hand. I didn't know any of this. Christine studies her face. For a moment, it looks like she believes her. Maybe Robyn truly didn't know. But that possibility only makes the problem worse, because if Robyn didn't know, then who was making all the decisions? Christine slowly turns back toward Kody. Were you planning to tell us? Kody doesn't answer. The silence stretches. The judge leans forward. Mr. Brown, you need to answer to the accusation. Kody finally talks. I did what I thought was best for the family. Christine's voice becomes colder. You mean what was best for Robyn? Robyn shakes her head again, tears falling easily now. I never asked for special treatment. Christine responds quietly. Maybe you didn't have to. The tension in the hall is now unbearable. Even the judge looks uncomfortable. Then Janelle speaks again. And this time her voice holds something even more serious than before. There's another account. The room freezes. Christine turns toward her slowly. What do you mean? Janelle closes the folder halfway. I noticed something while looking through these. Kody suddenly sits forward. Janelle, don't. But she continues. There are transfers here that don't match the family accounts. Christine's heartbeat feels louder than the courtroom. What transfers? Janelle hesitates. Then she says something that sends a shock through everyone present. Money that disappeared, and no one here was supposed to notice. Christine's breath catches. The judge leans forward again. Are you suggesting funds were hidden? Janelle looks down at the paper one last time, then slowly nods. And in that moment, Christine realizes something frightening. This trial might not just reveal unfair treatment. It might reveal a secret that someone in this family has been hiding for years. And judging by the sudden fear on Kody's face, that secret is about to come out. The courtroom doors close again after the short break, and when everyone returns to their seats, the tension in the room feels even heavier than before, as if the air itself knows that something bigger than anyone expected is about to come out. Christine sits quietly beside her attorney, her fingers lightly resting on the edge of the table, but her mind is rushing. Janelle's words from just minutes ago echo in her head. Another account. Money that disappeared. Across the room, Kody looks different now, less confident than he did when the trial started, his shoulders tighter, his gaze flicking between Janelle and the judge as if considering what might happen next. Robyn sits beside him with a tissue clutched in her hand, tears still glistening on her cheeks, while Meri looks like someone caught between two worlds, unsure whether to support the family she helped build or question the man who once promised them all honesty. The judge settles back into the chair and signals for the hearing to continue, and immediately Christine's attorney stands again, calm but clearly energized by the change in the courtroom. "Your Honor," he says, "before the recess, a statement was made regarding financial transfers that appear to fall outside the documented family accounts." The judge nods. "Yes, I remember." The attorney turns toward Janelle. "Mrs. Brown, would you be able to explain what you noticed?" Janelle hesitates for only a moment before standing slowly, the folder still in her hands. She has always been the quiet observer in the family, the practical one who avoided emotional explosions. But today, something inside her seems different, a mixture of anger and determination that has been building for years. "When I look through the records," she starts carefully, "I noticed several transfers that didn't match the shared accounts we all used." Kody immediately shifts in his chair. "Janelle, those are business," but the judge cuts him off quickly. "Mr. Brown, you will remain silent while she speaks." Janelle continues, her voice steady but quieter than before. "We always had a system. Every wife contributed to the same pool of money. That was the agreement from the beginning." She glances briefly at Christine. "Everything was supposed to go into the family fund, and major expenses were supposed to come out of that." Christine nods slowly. Everyone in the room knows this was the basis of how the family functioned financially. But Janelle pulls one sheet from the folder and holds it up slightly. "These transfers are different. The money leaves the family account, but it doesn't go to any property we recognize." The courtroom murmurs again. The judge leans forward. Where does it go? Janelle's eyes shift toward Kody for just a second before returning to the paper. "That's the problem. The destination account is listed under a private financial holding." Christine's heart begins to pound harder. Whose investment? Janelle exhales slowly. "That's what I couldn't figure out at first." Kody suddenly leans forward again. "This is being completely misunderstood." Christine turns toward him, her face sharp. "Then explain it." But Kody stays quiet, his jaw tightening. The attorney steps closer to the witness stand. "Mrs. Brown, when you say private investment stock, do you mean an account outside the shared family structure?" Janelle nods. "Yes." The attorney pauses for emphasis. "And approximately how much money are we talking about?" Janelle looks down again at the numbers printed across the page. The quiet stretches so long the sound of someone shifting in the back row seems loud. Finally, she answers. "Over the past 6 years, just under $900,000. A wave of shocked whispers fills the courtroom immediately. Christine feels as if the floor beneath her has tilted. Nearly $1 million. Money that was meant to belong to all of them. She turns slowly toward Kody. His face is pale now. Robyn's mouth falls slightly open in shock. Meri stares forward like someone trying to understand a nightmare. But the moment the amount is spoken aloud, everyone in the courtroom knows this trial has just become something far more serious than a simple family dispute. The judge lifts the gavel to restore order. Silence. Christine's attorney speaks again, his tone now sharper. "Mr. Brown, would you like to explain where those funds went?" Kody leans back in his chair and exhales slowly, clearly struggling to maintain control. "They were investments." Christine shakes her head instantly. "Investments for who?" Kody rubs his forehead again. "For the future." Christine's voice cuts through the room like glass. "Whose future?" Kody looks directly at her now. "The family's." Christine laughs softly, but there is no joy in it. "The family that you never told?" Robyn suddenly grabs Kody's arm. "Kody, please tell me this isn't what it sounds like." Her voice trembles with fear. Kody looks at her but says nothing. Janelle closes the folder slowly. "That's what confused me," she says softly. "If this was for the family, why wasn't the family told?" Meri finally speaks up from the bench behind them. Her voice is weak but clear. "Kody, did you hide this?" Kody's patience snaps slightly. "I didn't hide anything." The judge slams the gavel. "Mr. Brown, control yourself." Christine watches him carefully, studying every twitch of his expression. For years, she wondered whether the imbalance in the family was real or just her dream. Now the evidence sits in plain view on the trial table. Nearly $1 million quietly moved away from the sharing system. And suddenly the pieces begin to connect in her mind. The unexplained financial stress, the sudden property choices, the times Kody insisted certain discussions didn't need to include all the wives. Christine leans forward slightly. When did you open the account? Kody doesn't answer right away. The attorney talks again. Records indicate the account was opened shortly after the purchase of Robyn's home. Every head turns toward Robyn again. Her face fills with confusion and fear. I didn't know about any account. Christine looks at her carefully. And strangely, she believes her. Robyn might have benefited from the financial choices, but the fear in her eyes now looks genuine. Kody, Robyn whispers again, please say something. Kody stares at the table. It was supposed to be temporary. Christine's heart pounds harder. Temporary what? Kody finally looks up. Protection. The word hangs in the air like a riddle. Christine frowns. Protection from what? But Kody shakes his head. You wouldn't understand. Christine's voice sharpens instantly. Try me. The judge leans forward again, sensing the turning point. Mr. Brown, if these funds were removed from shared assets, you are required to explain their purpose. Kody hesitates again, and in that hesitation, Christine suddenly realizes something chilling. He's not just hiding financial decisions. He's hiding a reason, and the more Kody struggles to explain the missing money, the more everyone in the courtroom begins to suspect the truth might be far darker than anyone imagined. Janelle speaks again quietly. There's one more thing. The judge gestures for her to continue. Janelle flips to another page inside the folder. The investment account isn't the only unusual activity. Christine turns toward her slowly. What else? Janelle swallows before answering. 3 months ago, the account was nearly emptied. Gasps ripple across the courtroom again. Christine stares at her in disbelief. Emptied? Janelle nods. Most of the money was transferred out. Christine's mind spins. Transferred where? Janelle hesitates. The attorney leans forward slightly. Mrs. Brown? Janelle looks directly at Christine. That's the part I still can't figure out. Kody suddenly stands up from his chair. This is insane. The judge slams the gavel again. Sit down. Kody reluctantly lowers himself back into the seat, but his frustration is now obvious. Christine watches him with a new understanding. The man she spent decades trusting suddenly looks like someone she barely recognizes, someone capable of secrets far larger than she ever imagined. And as the courtroom falls silent again, Christine feels a chilling thought settle into her mind. If nearly $1 million disappeared and no one knows where it went, then this trial might not just reveal betrayal. It might reveal something illegal. And judging by the fear spreading across Kody's face, whatever he's hiding may be about to destroy the entire family. The courtroom reconvenes after another tense recess, and the atmosphere is almost suffocating now, as if every person inside is holding their breath, waiting for the next revelation. Because everyone knows the trial has moved far beyond ordinary family disputes into something dangerously personal. Christine sits forward, eyes narrowed, mind racing with the implications of Janelle's discovery, nearly $1 million redirected without explanation, accounts emptied, and Kody's increasingly defensive behavior. Across the room, Kody shifts in his chair nervously, aware that his usual confidence is slipping away under the weight of the scrutiny, while Robyn sits frozen, her face pale, gripping tissues in her trembling hands, unable to comprehend the depth of what is unfolding. Meri watches quietly, anxious, wishing she could rewind time and avoid the chaos that has been unleashed, and Janelle, who once stayed silent to avoid confrontation, now seems emboldened, determined to uncover the truth regardless of how uncomfortable it becomes. The judge calls the courtroom to order and gestures for Christine's attorney to proceed. The attorney steps forward with a folder in hand, laying out a series of documents in front of the judge and counsel, each one detailing transactions and transfers that the family had never discussed, as though exposing a hidden undercurrent of control and secrecy that has shaped every decision in the family for years. Christine stands slowly, the intensity in her eyes growing with every word. Your Honor, the pattern we are seeing is not isolated. This isn't a mistake or oversight. These transfers, these hidden accounts, they tell a story of one household being favored above the others. The courtroom whispers in shock as the attorney continues. Over the course of 6 years, funds contributed equally by all wives were redirected into this account, benefiting one household disproportionately while the rest of the family was left in the dark. Robyn's lips tremble, tears spilling down her cheeks as she whispers to Kody, "Why didn't you tell them?" Kody's jaw tightens. He says nothing, his silence louder than any explanation he could give. Christine steps closer to the evidence, lifting a sheet for emphasis, and the transfers didn't stop at the creation of this account. 3 months ago, nearly all funds were withdrawn from it, without explanation, without consultation, without consent. The courtroom erupts with murmurs and shocked gasps. The judge raises a hand to quiet the room. "Mr. Brown, this is serious. Explain yourself." Kody runs a hand through his hair, trying to steady himself. The money was being protected, he says finally, his voice lower but strained. "Protected?" Christine repeats, her voice sharper. "Protected from what? From whom?" Kody swallows, struggling to frame an answer, but his usual certainty is gone. The family needed stability, he says haltingly. Christine's face hardens. Stability for who? The entire family? Or just one household? Robyn's body shakes slightly as she whispers, "Kody, please," but Christine ignores her, the focus entirely on Kody now. Janelle, who has been quiet but observant, suddenly interjects, "The evidence suggests the protection wasn't for the family. It was for one wife's benefit, while the others were left unaware." The room goes silent again. Christine turns toward Janelle, her look sharp and assessing. "Did you know this would be revealed today?" Janelle shakes her head slowly. "No. I only noticed the irregularities when I studied the documents." Meri looks down, biting her lip, clearly conflicted about the growing tension between her sisters-in-law. Christine turns back to Kody, taking a calculated step closer to the table. "Do you understand the severity of this? We're talking about almost $1 million missing from shared resources, funds that were meant for all of us." Kody's hands tremble slightly. It was necessary. Christine's eyes narrow. Necessary? For what? Kody hesitates, as if weighing whether to speak the truth. Robyn reaches out, touching his arm lightly. "Kody, you need to say something, please." Kody glances at her, but she isn't enough to stabilize him in this room filled with scrutiny. Christine leans in, voice rising slightly. "We contributed equally. We trusted you. And this is how that trust was repaid?" The courtroom is tense, every observer aware that this exchange is the pivotal moment of the trial. The judge leans forward, voice firm, "Mr. Brown, you are required to explain these activities. The court needs clarity." Kody exhales slowly, and for a moment it seems as though he might reveal the truth, but instead he lowers his eyes and mutters something unintelligible. Christine's attorney steps forward, voice calm but cutting, "Your Honor, in addition to the transfers and withdrawals, there is evidence of conflicting accounts of property ownership and inconsistencies in financial reporting to the wives. This isn't just a breach of trust. This is manipulation, possibly fraud, and it must be examined thoroughly." Christine looks around the room, her gaze sweeping across Robyn, Meri, and Janelle. "You all see this now. The family we thought we were a part of, it was never as equal as we believed." Robyn covers her mouth, tears streaming freely. I didn't know." Janelle presses her lips together, gripping the folder tightly, processing the consequences. Meri finally speaks softly. "If this is true, it changes everything. Everything we believed." Christine nods, voice firm. "Yes, everything." The courtroom falls silent, the tension almost unbearable. Then Christine moves forward slightly, dropping her voice, drawing everyone's attention. "And there's more. The timing of the withdrawals corresponds with decisions made to help one household at the expense of the others. We will show that these actions were deliberate, not accidental." The judge leans back, clearly aware that the case has escalated beyond simple family finance. This is significant. "Mr. Brown, you will have a chance to reply, but understand the court will scrutinize all evidence carefully." Kody swallows, his face pale, clearly realizing that his usual strategies won't protect him now. Christine stops, letting the weight of her words settle over the courtroom, watching Kody squirm in a way she has never seen before. Because as the reality of the missing funds sinks in, everyone in the room starts to understand that the unraveling of trust could destroy the family entirely, and the next revelation could be even more explosive. Christine takes another step closer, pointing slightly toward Kody. If the court sees these patterns, it won't just be about money. It will be about the manipulation, the lies, the favoritism that has poisoned this family from the inside out. Robyn wipes her face, trembling, looking helpless. "I never wanted this," she whispers. Christine ignores her, voice rising slightly in passion. "We've all been living with secrets. Some were hidden to protect feelings, some to protect, what? Appearances? But the truth is out now." Kody leans forward, finally raising his voice, desperation creeping in. "I only wanted to protect the family." Christine's expression is sharp, her voice cutting. Protect the family, or protect one part of it at the cost of the rest? Janelle, still holding the documents, speaks softly but firmly. "The evidence is clear. All of us were led to believe in equality, but the financial truth was something else entirely." Meri sits quietly, shaking her head slightly. "I can't believe it." Christine looks around, voice dropping but filled with passion. "It's real. We've been tricked, and now everyone here knows it." Kody's lips tighten, his hands clenching the edge of the table. Robyn whispers again, "I didn't know." Christine's gaze turns to her, unwavering. "Maybe you didn't, but someone knew, and that's what matters now." The courtroom remains tense, the air thick with emotion. The judge leans forward, making eye contact with Kody. "Mr. Brown, the court expects a full explanation." Kody exhales heavily, a pause hanging in the air like a countdown. Christine's mind races. She feels the moment approaching when Kody's hidden truths might finally emerge, truths that could reshape every relationship in that room forever. And as the seconds stretch, everyone understands that this case is no longer about property, money, or even appearances. It's about the very foundation of trust within a family that has been torn apart by secrets, and the next reveal could push the entire Brown family to the edge. The tension is so palpable that even the observers in the courtroom lean forward, waiting, knowing that the next moment will decide not just the result of this trial, but the future of relationships that have been decades in the making. Christine takes a final breath, her eyes locked on Kody, ready for whatever comes next, because she knows that the next word he speaks could either shatter them all completely or finally bring some form of reckoning to a family that has lived too long in shadows and deceit. The courtroom is silent as it reconvenes for session 4, and the tension has reached a level that makes the air feel heavy, thick with anticipation and unspoken emotions, because everyone present knows the trial has moved from financial disputes to the unraveling of deep personal betrayals, and nothing will ever feel the same. Christine sits forward, her eyes sharp, scanning the room as if trying to read the thoughts of each person present. Kody, whose defensive posture has grown more rigid with every passing revelation. Robyn, whose tears have dried to streaks on her pale cheeks, yet whose eyes still reflect fear and confusion. Janelle, whose hands tremble slightly as she holds the documents that now feel like weapons. And Meri, sitting quietly, anxious, yet finally showing the first signs of courage to voice her own concerns, aware that the family she has long defended may have been built on deception. The judge calls the court to order, and everyone stands, only to sit again as the gavel strikes, the echo resonating like a heartbeat in the heavy air. Christine's attorney stands, holding a thick folder of evidence, a mixture of financial records, personal communications, and letters that detail the manipulations that have been happening quietly behind the scenes for years. "Your Honor," he begins, voice steady but firm. "As we proceed, it's critical to understand that this case is no longer simply about money. It is about the emotional, psychological, and familial consequences of prolonged secrecy and favoritism, and we intend to show how these actions have affected every member of the Brown family." Christine rises, her gaze sweeping the room like a predator assessing her prey, and says softly but with immense gravity, "We trusted that each wife had equal standing, that decisions were shared, that respect was mutual, that trust was violated, and now it must be addressed." Kody shifts uncomfortably in his seat, glancing nervously at the judge and back toward the women, as if hoping to find some sympathy that isn't there. Robyn wipes her eyes, her voice breaking slightly as she whispers to no one in particular, "I didn't want any of this. I never asked for special treatment." Janelle leans forward, gripping the edge of the folder tightly, and her voice is steady as she begins. The financial records show not only hidden transfers and large withdrawals, but also patterns of preferential treatment that extend beyond money, timing of major family decisions, allocation of property, and even control over children's schooling. The room grows silent as the weight of her words sinks in. Christine takes a big breath, her tone now sharp and accusing. Kody, you made decisions that affected all of us. Decisions that were presented as necessary for the family, but in reality, they were skewed to benefit one household while leaving the others blindsided and disempowered. Kody finally speaks, his voice tight, strained. I thought I was protecting everyone. I thought I was keeping the family safe. Christine shakes her head, her voice rising slightly with disbelief and anger. Safe? Safe from what? From equality? From transparency? You manipulated trust and feelings alike. You made one household untouchable while the rest of us were expected to obey blindly. Robyn leans forward, her voice desperate. I didn't know any of this. I swear I didn't. Christine cuts her off, eyes locked on Kody. Perhaps you didn't know. But the point is, someone did, and the effect on every other wife and child in this family is undeniable. Meri finally speaks, her voice fragile but growing stronger with each word. We all sacrificed, we all trusted, and yet decisions were being made in secret for someone else's benefit. I can't believe this has been happening right under our noses. The courtroom murmurs, and the judge raises a hand to restore silence, the gavel echoing like the ominous drumbeat of a storm about to break. Christine walks closer to the evidence table, lifting a page of emails that show explicit orders from Kody to manage funds in a way that bypassed the shared accounts. These messages, she says slowly, carefully, prove that the actions were intentional, premeditated, and concealed. This wasn't accidental. It was manipulation. Kody leans forward, trying to interject. I was trying to prevent chaos, to Christine interrupts sharply. Prevent chaos? Or prevent exposure? Robyn covers her mouth, tears welling again, whispering to Kody, why didn't you tell them? The judge leans forward, his tone firm. Mr. Brown, you will have a chance to respond, but this court needs clarity. The repeated secrecy and undisclosed moves are unacceptable. Janelle then stands, her hands shaking slightly, but her voice unwavering. There's something else I discovered while reviewing the records. Certain choices regarding property sales and renovations coincided suspiciously with fund transfers. Every time there was a big expenditure for one household, money was shifted quietly, ensuring that household always benefited at the expense of the others. The courtroom gasps collectively. Christine takes another step forward, her voice now cutting with authority and emotion. We all believed in a shared life, equal opportunity, shared sacrifice. That belief was undermined intentionally. Our lives, our attempts, our trust, all manipulated. The time for explanations is over. The time for accountability has arrived. Robyn stares at Kody, her voice trembling. Please tell them the truth. Kody rubs his forehead, visibly sweating. It was never about harming anyone. I was trying to protect our family. Christine's tone sharpens, almost icy. Protect? Or control? The judge intervenes, leaning forward. Mr. Brown, this court needs full disclosure. Silence will no longer suffice. Kody glances around the room, his voice quieter now, strained and faltering. Some of the transfers, I thought it was necessary for the stability of the family, but perhaps I misjudged. Christine's eyes narrow, her face hard. Misjudged? Misjudged the trust, the respect, and the sincerity of those who believed in you? Meri sits forward slightly, her voice shaking. And the children? What lesson does this send to them? The courtroom is silent except for the low murmur of observers whispering among themselves, the atmosphere thick with tension. Christine's attorney steps forward again, laying out another set of documents, this time showing communications between Kody and financial advisors discussing methods to hide the transactions from the other wives. Your Honor, these documents further illustrate the deliberate nature of these actions. The secrecy wasn't incidental, it was systematic. Christine turns her gaze toward Kody, voice trembling with emotion yet strong and unwavering. All of us believed in fairness, equality, honesty. You've broken that. And today, the truth will not only be acknowledged, but accounted for. Robyn cries quietly, whispering again, I didn't know. Christine doesn't respond, her eyes fixed on Kody. And that may be, but knowledge or ignorance doesn't change the impact. The consequences are real, tangible, and undeniable. Janelle presses her lips together, holding the folder like a shield, then finally speaks, Your Honor, there is still evidence that some transfers coincided with personal gains beyond household stability, trips, renovations, assets that were prioritized for one wife above the others. This wasn't family security, it was preferential treatment. Kody exhales sharply, his hands shaking now as he runs them along the edge of the table. Christine steps closer, her voice rising, echoing through the dead courtroom. We contributed equally. We trusted you. We shared everything we had, and yet someone chose to play favorites, undermining not just our finances, but our very sense of justice, trust, and unity. Meri's voice joins in, stronger now. This family was built on promises that were broken, and the truth can no longer be ignored. Robyn's tears continue to flow, whispering, I didn't ask for this. Christine's gaze softens slightly toward Robyn, but her focus remains on Kody. Perhaps not. But steps were taken, whether you asked for them or not, and the rest of us have to live with the consequences. The judge leans back slightly, his voice firm. Mr. Brown, this court expects full openness. Your attempts at justification are insufficient without full disclosure. Kody swallows hard, his body rigid, clearly realizing the gravity of the moment. Christine takes a slow, deliberate breath, her words calm but heavy with meaning, and it doesn't stop at money. The emotional manipulation, the favoritism, the secrets, it has affected every relationship in this family. Each child, each wife has been impacted. Janelle, still holding the documents tightly, adds, we all contributed equally to the family, yet one household got benefits we were told would be shared. That imbalance is not just financial. It is emotional, it is relational, it is destructive. Christine steps even closer to Kody, voice piercing. Every decision you made, every secret account, every hidden move, it was a choice. And choices have consequences. The courtroom sits in stunned silence. Robyn whispers again, I never wanted any of this. Christine's eyes never leave Kody. Perhaps you didn't. But someone did, and now the truth cannot be kept any longer. The judge leans forward, emphasizing the severity of the moment. Mr. Brown, your evidence must address the deliberate concealment of these funds and the resulting favoritism. The court will not accept half-truths or justifications. Kody looks down at his hands, trembling, his usual confidence completely gone. Christine's voice softens slightly, yet keeps its sharp edge. This is your chance, Kody, to finally be honest. Not for appearances, not for protection, but for the family that still needs clarity, still deserves the truth. And as Kody hesitates, the courtroom realizes that the next words he speaks could either shatter the Brown family completely or, for the first time in years, offer a chance at acknowledgement and reckoning, but nothing will ever be the same again. Every person in the room holds their breath, knowing that the unraveling of secrets has only just begun, and that what comes next may determine the fate of every relationship, every trust, and every bond that the Brown family has spent decades trying to maintain. The courtroom is tense, heavier than it has ever felt in previous sessions, as if every wall, every wooden bench, every echo of whispered conversation is holding its breath for what is about to happen, because everyone now understands that the financial manipulations and secret accounts are only the surface of a far deeper web of deceit, favoritism, and emotional betrayal, and the air practically vibrates with the anticipation of another revelation that could irreversibly change the Brown family forever. Christine sits forward, fingers intertwined tightly on the edge of the table, eyes darting between Kody, whose posture is defensive but increasingly weary, and the women who have once been her sisters-in-law and confidantess, Robyn, sitting with trembling hands and eyes wide with fear clearly. Still in shock over the unfolding truths, Janelle, whose steady hands clutch the folders of evidence like shields, but whose gaze now shows both anger and disbelief as she pieces together the patterns of favoritism and secrecy, and Meri, sitting slightly behind them, quiet but clearly. Internalizing the magnitude of the revelations, torn between loyalty, shock, and a growing need to voice her own experiences and observations. The judge bangs the gavel lightly to restore silence, and all eyes turn forward as Christine's attorney rises again, laying out a series of detailed charts and timelines that map the movement of funds from the shared family accounts into the private investment account, showing correlations with property purchases, renovations, and personal expenses that directly benefited one household over the others. Christine stands slowly, her voice deliberate, calm but layered with an undercurrent of barely restrained anger, Your Honor. What we are seeing is a consistent pattern of intentional exclusion, of decisions made without the knowledge or consent of the other wives, and of the manipulation of trust that has existed in this family for decades. Kody shifts uncomfortably, running a hand through his hair, attempting to maintain composure as Christine continues, "For years we believed in equality. We thought that our contributions, emotionally, financially, personally, were respected and shared. But the proof shows otherwise. Funds meant to be pooled and used collectively were redirected, withdrawn, and prioritized for a single household, creating an imbalance that affects every facet of our lives." Robyn leans forward slightly, her voice barely audible but filled with fear and confusion. "I never asked for any of this, I didn't know." Christine turns to her briefly, acknowledging the plea but returning her focus sharply to Kody. "Perhaps not. But someone knew. Someone orchestrated this. And now we are left to reconcile the consequences." Janelle finally speaks aloud, holding up a folder with trembling hands. "There are patterns here that extend beyond money. Timing of school enrollments, house renovations, family events, all coinciding with transfers and secret accounts. This isn't just financial mismanagement, it is manipulation of every part of family life to favor one household over the others." The courtroom murmurs, the gravity of her words hitting everyone present. Meri adds softly, almost to herself, "And we all lived in ignorance, trusting in decisions that weren't meant to be shared, that were skewed to one side while the rest of us complied blindly." Christine steps closer to Kody, voice firm and penetrating. "Kody, every decision you made, every hidden transfer, every act of favoritism, it has consequences, and it has cost us trust, respect, and our sense of equality. Do you understand that?" Kody's voice is strained, cracking slightly. I was trying to protect the family." Christine's expression hardens, disbelief clear in her eyes. "Protect the family? Or protect one home while silencing the others? That is the reality your secrecy has created." Robyn whispers again, voice breaking, "I never wanted this. I didn't ask for it." Christine fixes her gaze on her, calm yet unyielding. "And that may be, Robyn. But the decisions were made, the actions taken, and the rest of us had to live with the outcomes, whether you were aware or not." The judge leans forward, voice firm. "Mr. Brown, the court needs a full account for the concealed transfers, withdrawals, and the apparent favoritism. Half-truths will no longer be acceptable." Kody runs his hands along the table edge, visibly shaking, struggling to find words that might satisfy the court and the family alike. Christine steps even closer, her voice rising slightly, filled with a controlled intensity. "We trusted in equality, in fairness, in transparency. Those ideals were violated. And today, every action, every concealed account, every secret choice is being brought to light. The effect is not just financial, it is emotional, relational, and irrevocable." Janelle's voice, calm but piercing, adds, "And it doesn't stop there. The evidence shows that some of these decisions were made in anticipation of avoiding scrutiny, in anticipation of hiding the truth from the other wives. It is intentional, systematic, and manipulative." Meri finally speaks louder, her voice gaining strength, "And as the wives who lived with these effects, we cannot ignore the pattern. We cannot accept that decisions affecting all of us were made in secret to benefit only one." Christine's gaze sharpens, piercing Kody's composure further. "Every property purchase, every fund transfer, every manipulation, the pattern is clear. Favoritism was picked over equality, secrecy over trust. And now the truth is undeniable." Robyn covers her face briefly, whispering to Kody, "Please say something." Kody looks around, his hands trembling, his confidence completely eroded. I thought it was. Best for the family." Christine laughs softly, bitterly, shaking her head. "Best for the family? Or best for one part of it at the cost of the rest?" The courtroom holds its breath as the weight of her words settles over the room. The attorney steps forward again, voice calm yet pointed. "Your Honor, the evidence of hidden transfers, withdrawals, and preferential treatment is overwhelming. It shows not only financial manipulation, but emotional and relational control, which has caused harm to all parties involved." Christine leans in, voice low but charged. "This is about trust, Kody. Trust we put in you. Trust that you betrayed. And every action you took to conceal, redirect, and manipulate has effects that stretch far beyond money." Janelle adds quietly, "We all contributed, all sacrificed, all believed in a shared system. That system was broken intentionally, leaving one household advantaged and the others compromised. This is not oversight. It is intentional. Meri leans forward, voice trembling slightly but clear, the children, the family, our joint lives, all affected by secrecy and favoritism. The long-term damage cannot be undone easily. Christine's eyes never leave Kody, voice steady but sharp. You made choices that affected every relationship, every decision, every tie in this family. The time for answers is now. The time for responsibility is here. Kody's face is pale, jaw tight, hand shaking. Finally, I didn't want to hurt anyone. I thought I was saving the family. I misjudged. Christine's voice grows colder, sharper. Misjudged? Or deliberately chose to favor one home while hiding the truth from the others. That is the truth of your actions. Robyn whispers again, tears falling freely. I didn't ask for this. I never wanted this. Christine doesn't flinch, voice cutting, and yet it happened. And now, the results are here. Unavoidable. The judge leans forward, gavel lightly tapping. Mr. Brown, the court requires full disclosure regarding the transfers, withdrawals, and actions that led in the favoritism toward one household. This is not optional. Kody swallows, visibly shaking, realizing the depth of the situation. The transfers, I thought they were temporary, necessary, to protect stability. Christine's eyes narrow, voice unrelenting. Protect stability? Or protect your control? The evidence is clear, actions were deliberate, benefits were selective, and secrecy was kept. That is not protection, that is manipulation. Janelle adds, her voice steady, and as the family that lived with these decisions, we have the right to know, to confront the truth, and to hold accountable whoever orchestrated these actions. Christine steps forward, tone rising, intensity building, every hidden account, every secret transfer, every choice made behind closed doors, it must be acknowledged, it must be confronted, and it must be accounted for. Nothing can stay in shadows anymore. Robyn whispers again, almost pleading, please, just tell the truth. Christine's gaze remains fixed on Kody, unwavering, yes, tell the truth. Not for appearances, not to protect feelings, but for the family that deserves honesty, clarity, and the chance to heal. And as Kody hesitates, knowing the eyes of his entire family and the court are upon him, the room holds its breath, understanding that the next revelation will not only expose financial and emotional manipulation, but could redefine every relationship, every bond, and every trust within the Brown family. Nothing will ever be the same after what comes next. The tension is palpable, and the silence stretches unbearably long, signaling that the unraveling of secrets is far from over, and that the coming moments may change the direction of the trial and the family forever, leaving no choice but to face the truth in its most raw and unflinching form.